This is the story of how I fell into sleeping on the floor. The lessons I learned the hard way, literally, the 4 conclusions I've come to that I think you ought to consider, regardless of whether you're willing to floor sleep or not, and a surprising 2-year update. As you'll see, sleeping on the floor isn't about being a minimalist, a masochist, a monk, or a married man with a mad wife. It's just about being someone who's willing to try unconventional things, so long as they help them live a more awesome life. And for me recently, that means setting up my floor bed in the living room these days. But let's start from the beginning. My foray into sleeping on the floor began a couple years ago, not out of choice, but necessity. My then fiancée, now wife, Kim, kept on crossing the invisible line of the small bed in the apartment we rented in Valencia, Spain. And I was sweating my huevos off in the hot summer nights there. According to my Oura Ring, a finger Fitbit for sleep, my sleep scores were well below normal. But what could I do? Buy a new, bigger bed? Well, we only had 2 months left in Spain, so that makes sense. So that really left only one alternative. Either Kim or I had to get off the bed to make things more comfortable for the other. And guess who won that battle? I thought, how bad could sleeping on the floor be? So the next night, I unrolled the yoga mat, grabbed a spare sheet, and floored it. It felt like an adventure. And it'd be kind of like camping, right? Wrong. My arms and legs fell asleep more than I did. And my lower back kept screaming, "Screw you," at me from about 3 a.m. until whenever it was that Kim came out of her now spacious bed to tell me it was time to get up. Other bloggers' accounts of moving to sleeping on the floor said it got better after about a week. So I powered through. No improvement. Some bloggers said to try sleeping on your side or your stomach, so I tried that too. And I couldn't stomach it. I guess that's what I get for trusting blogs. But these first nights of going way too hard on the floor weren't a pure nightmare. One benefit was that as loud as my lumbar screamed at me in the middle of the night, the pain vanished within minutes of getting up in the morning. And for the rest of the day, my back felt better than ever. And it dawned on me that back pain from sleeping on the floor is different from back pain that I usually struggle with. It's not the same pain you get from slouching too much or lifting heavy stuff the wrong way. It's a duller version of what you get from doing back extensions. Exercise pain. Good pain. My lazy lower back muscles were complaining about having to get back to work after decades of slacking off on soft mattresses. I was almost certainly pushing them too hard, but they needed it. They needed that, well, wake-up call. And a second silver lining to my miserable yoga mat misadventures, the unconventionalness of sleeping on the floor seemed to activate the creativity cortex in my brain. Those first few days especially, I'd wake up full of new ideas and inspiration. Part of it, I guess, might have been from being awake more in the middle of the night. But mostly, I think, is that it's another good example of acting your way to a new way of thinking. Like fasting, traveling, or working out outside, stuff like that. By switching things up a bit, it opens up your mind. Now, if only I could find a way to be less delirious and drowsy at the same time. So, 17 days later, I finally abandoned my faith in bloggers' claims that I'd get used to sleeping on the floor. And I softened my position. I pulled the thick comforter out of the closet and put it under my yoga mat for extra padding. And you know what? It did the trick. My sleep scores skyrocketed. Even better than what I get sleeping on a good bed. And I continue to feel the lower back workout and mind-opening benefits. Finally, I was becoming a floor sleeping believer. And you know who else was? Kim. A believer in me sleeping on the floor, not her. Her sleep quality had improved since day one that I gave her free rein to roll about the bed by herself. And the better sleeps put her in a better mood. Happy wife, happy life, right? Sure, sleeping separately meant less hanky-panky and late night pillow talk, but those were sacrifices we were happy to make in exchange for better sleep. And later we managed to find the best of both worlds, but we'll get to that shortly. So a couple weeks after softening my sleeping position to great success, a heat wave hit. It was so bad that our air conditioner gave up fighting it. Kim melted on her bed, but I was okay because being a 1.5 feet lower to the ground also lowered the temperature a precious few degrees. And speaking of lower temperatures, about a month and a half later, fall came around. Kim and I left Valencia, and I bid adios to my makeshift floor bed. Over the next 9 months, Kim and I nomaded around Essaouira, Morocco, Cape Town, South Africa, and Vancouver, Canada. Sometimes I slept on the bed, sometimes on the floor, whichever was most practical. Roughly, it ended up being a 50-50 split. And this back and forth rounded out my perspective on the relative merits of sleeping on the floor versus sleeping on a bed, even a big comfy one. I came to 4 conclusions. Conclusion number 1, you are what you sleep on. A harder bed makes you harder, and vice versa. Mentally, sleeping on the floor makes me feel more resilient and adaptable. Every time I lay on the floor, I can't help but feel a little bit like some Chuck Norris-esque ninja or Navy SEAL. And I wake up in the morning more alert and ready to get off the floor and get going. Physically, I feel more resilient and ready too. As I already mentioned, my lower back feels stronger, and I also feel that maybe some truth to floor sleeping proponents' claims that sleeping on a hard surface improves joint function and blood circulation. Plus, there's the extra daily mobility training. Getting up and down from the floor and making my bed on my hands and knees forces me into positions I haven't been in regularly since daycare. I think if more people did the same thing every evening and morning, there'd be fewer soft fatties with stiff joints. Maybe more open-minded people too. Conclusion 2. Mattress marketing is fluff. I used to strongly believe that you should invest in the best bed and mattress possible. You spend a third of your life there after all. But now, I believe that's as misguided as the 3-month salary rule for engagement rings. Like they've done in the diamond industry, mattress marketers have manufactured mirages of value to suck big bucks out of us. So just as you can't buy love with an expensive engagement ring, you can't buy better sleep with an expensive mattress. Conclusion 3. How matters way more than what. Mattresses are to sleep what shoes are to running. Just as high-tech shoes won't make a couch potato an amazing athlete, no fancy mattress is going to make you a superstar sleeper. If anything, these advanced technologies probably screw up your physiology in the long run. So more important than what you sleep on is how you sleep. A healthy late-night routine of less alcohol, snacks, screens, and artificial light will do your sleep way more good than any mattress, or lack thereof. So too will sleeping in quieter, darker, cooler rooms. One eye-opening book that woke me up to the importance of sleeping well and how to do it is Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Conclusion 4, sleeping on the floor is like eating Brussels sprouts. It'll never be quite as appealing as a sweet ice cream of cushy modern beds, but it's better for you in the long run. And you can learn to love it as long as you don't screw up the preparation, like I did early on, by going too hard too soon. And now, I think I found the perfect recipe. It's been 2 years since I first fled the bed, and I'm still floor sleeping. Not only that, Kim has joined me. Well, we're not exactly sleeping on the floor. We have Japanese-style tatami pads for ventilation. I have a thin mattress topper for padding, and Kim has a thicker futon. This arrangement has worked out great. We can put our floor beds beside each other to cuddle, canoodle, and chat, but we still enjoy our own space and get the mind and body benefits of a low hard sleeping surface. And when our son Zach showed up to wreak havoc on our sleep, well, Kim was screwed because he needed her breast milk. But I could at least save myself by migrating my bed to the living room, which is where I'm at today. Hopefully now you understand. Sleeping on the floor may seem unconventional, but I think it's practical too, because I feel it sets me up best to seize the day. Are you willing to try? Let me know if yes or no, or if you have any questions in the comments. Good night.